to do something unheard of in the NFL, to be a two-way player. Hunter was a star cornerback and wide receiver at Colorado, splitting his time evenly on both sides of the ball. He averaged over 111 snaps per game and earned the Heisman Trophy, but Bill Yates released a 3-round mock draft with 9 days left until the draft. Yates kicked it off by selecting Miami quarterback Cam Ward, number 1 to the Titans. Mel Kiper having the Browns select his number 1 draft prospect, two-way star Travis Hunter at number 2. All right, Stephen A. Marcus, hey. Are we taking Travis Hunter for granted? Marcus, I'll go to you first.
Listen, Molly, I talked about this yesterday. We were going through the show, and I was just thinking about, like, how spoiled we are with such phenomenal athletes, right? We had Tom Brady play into his 40s. We got LeBron James playing into his 40s and playing at a very high level. We see a bunch of these quarterbacks in the NFL. We see NBA guys like Steph, playing forever. We see Ovechkin break Wayne Gretzky's record. And I'm looking at a guy that could be a potential top 5 pick on offense or defense in the NFL draft. And all we keep talking about is Shedeur Sanders. And I get it, y'all. You know we've been in TV for so long, and I understand ratings. I understand what people want to hear. But I wanted to have this conversation, granted, when it comes to sports. I don't remember the last time, Stephen A., we've had an athlete, a football player, come out of college where he could legitimately be a top 5 pick at wide receiver or a top 5 pick at defensive back. And really, I'm just talking about media, us in sports media overall. Are we not, one, taking Travis Hunter for granted? But more importantly, are we spoiled? Do we look at this the wrong way? Is it some fly-by-night thing now that a guy can be this phenomenal and this great coming into it, and we really don't talk about him? We kind of treat it like a foregone conclusion. He's going to go number 2 overall in talking about his greatness and what he's been able to do up until this point.
Well, it's a couple of things. Number one, we're addicted to the quarterback position. So anytime we see a wide receiver or anybody else for that matter, if you're not a quarterback or you're not an elite pass rusher, then you're one of the few of several marquee athletes who are going to bless us with your exploits on a National Football League level. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that, you know, when you talk about us being spoiled and not appreciating the athletes enough, I think that's taken all wrong. If I'm discussing you, and this is an argument that I've had, whether it's the GOAT conversation or some of the great players or whatever it is that we're discussing, Marcus, if I'm talking about you and you play the quarterback position, and I'm debating whether you're better than Tom Brady, you're in the discussion as one of the greatest who's ever lived. And unfortunately, in the times that we're living in, it's played in reverse. And if you want to know where I'm factually correct, take a look at YouTube. We're debating right now. Marcus Spears destroyed Stephen A. Stephen A. destroyed Marcus Spears. The word destroyed feeds the algorithm. All right, what the hell were they arguing about? Let's click on, let's find it. More clicks, more revenue for the person who created the content. And all they did was use a word to try to hook people in and try to create a level of cynicism. You look at the news story, you look at the news reports or whatever. What does the news lead with? They lead with the negativity. What do they say? Negativity sells. But in the same breath, why are we so negative? But they lead the damn newscast with it every day. People miss that. If you're talking about greatness,
Stephen A., hold that
in the
thought.
Conversation.
We got to hit the top.
News 9 days away from the NFL draft. I find myself extremely surprised by what I'm about to tell you. Adam Schefter is reporting that Shedeur Sanders is going to hold one last private workout Thursday for the Giants, who have the 3rd pick in the draft. They had a full contingent in attendance for his and Travis Hunter's pro day on April 4th. But obviously they want one last private look at Shedeur before the draft next Thursday. I feel like this could mean a lot of different things. Peter, help me make sense of this.
It's not nothing. And if you're a Giants fan at home saying, whatever, it's just no. You have to understand how much the Giants have invested time into meeting and being with Shedeur Sanders. They sent 13 different people from the organization to the Colorado Pro Day. They had him in on a 30-day visit and then took him out to dinner. They also went to multiple games of Colorado's where Joe Shane went and attended in person on a Saturday before the Giants played on a Sunday. and they also attended a practice with Colorado. So for them to now, 9 days out of the draft, and this will be a week before the draft, spend their time flying out to Boulder, Colorado to get one last look at Shedeur Sanders, it tells me they not only are interested in Shedeur Sanders, but they want to know every last thing about Shedeur Sanders. This is not just a smokescreen. You don't do this. You don't waste your time getting on a flight and going from East Rutherford to Boulder a week before the draft unless you are actually interested in either selecting Shedeur Sanders at 3 or maneuvering the chessboard to get up and get him later in the first round.
Those were the first thoughts that I had was, does this mean the Giants are seriously considering taking him at 3? Or does this mean the Giants are reading the tea leaves and thinking, we're living in a world now where he may be available into the 20s and we might trade up from the second round where they currently sit with the second pick in that second round to try and make a move for him? Obviously, we don't know that answer one way or another. Well, Big Swagoo, the floor is yours. What do you make of the Giants and Shedeur getting together 1 week before the draft, one final time?
Yeah, I make of it what the history of the league tells us. And I agree with Peter that this is a serious moment for the New York Giants. Whether they're positioning to trade up to get Shedeur Sanders or whether they're positioning to take him 3rd in the draft overall, I don't think you can ever take this position for granted. And we've seen these franchises in quarterback purgatory. So you do your due diligence all the way up until the last hour. I've never subscribed to the fact that the Giants are just going to let Shedeur Sanders sit there if they understand that he can potentially be a franchise-leading quarterback. And here's the other thing, too. We got to give a lot of credit to Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll went to Buffalo when Josh Allen was struggling and trying to find his footing and put him in the right situation. And now we've seen what Josh Allen has turned into from a quarterback's perspective. We saw Daniel Jones play better, i.e. giving him $100 million. Now, I'm still thinking they crazy over that, but Brian Daboll obviously coached him well enough to put him in that position. You watch Shedeur Sanders play. He plays with rhythm, he plays with time, and people have talked about the porous offensive line that he had, which caused a lot of issues with him in college. When I watched Shedeur play, it felt like he had NFL cachet. It felt like he understood that this game on this level has to be played cerebrally first before you get to anything else. And I think the Giants are exploring that and are going to continue to explore that all the way until we get to Green Bay and that 3rd pick is on the clock.
RC.
Yeah, I think, when you look at what the Giants are doing, they're doing exactly what you need to do when you have the 3rd overall pick and you're contemplating getting a quarterback. Marcus mentioned quarterback purgatory, and that's exactly where they are. You have a quarterback room that's probably good enough to get you through a season with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Now, what that wins you is probably nothing. You don't win the NFC East. You don't win a playoff game. And if you're Brian Daboll and Joe Sheen, that could cost you your job. So if Shedeur Sanders is a guy that you can have play this year and have him show the Mara family that, okay, we are moving in the right direction with a young player that we have touched, we have put our imprint on, we've got into the system, and moving forward, this could be a guy that brings us to the next level, that's enough to keep your job. And so if you are the Giants contingent, you know that you can't miss if you draft him early and he's not what you think he was. You also know that you can't pass on him, have him become a star in his rookie season after watching what Saquon Barkley did in Philadelphia. As the man told you, my worst nightmare is him going to Philly. And so